Back into the fray we go, Broncos country. Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. On today's show, a little Overreaction Monday. We're going to reflect on the win versus the Las Vegas Raiders, the ugly win. What the Denver players are saying about the offense, specifically from Bo Nix and J.K. Dobbins. And then, of course, we try to tackle the problem. What's wrong with the Denver Broncos offense? I think there's a lot of light that can be shed on this team as we enter into Chiefs week. So let me start off by saying this. I don't want it to get twisted. I am happy the Denver Broncos are 8-2. I am. Despite the vitriol that you saw from me yesterday, there is a part of me that understands silver lining. Wins are hard to come by in the NFL. However, I have higher expectations for this team. Why do I have such high expectations for this team? Well, because my head coach has high expectations for this team. Sean Payton literally said before the season started, and you can go back and find the exact quote. He said, "This is one of the most talented rosters I've ever coached." Not talented defenses, talented rosters I've ever coached. Sean Payton's been a coach for a long time. He's won a Super Bowl with Drew Brees. If he is saying that this is one of the most talented rosters he's ever coached, that automatically puts this team a notch above whatever the last two teams' expectations were. So just getting back to the playoffs and competing in the playoffs is no longer the goal. You have to move the goalpost. And I also know this. Football has a lot of gray area. It does. Because on the one hand, you can look at it and say, we are 8-2 at the very top of the NFL. That's great. And you're winning ugly, and good teams find ways to win. But on the other hand, this is not sustainable football. And I think anybody that watches football and understands what that offense looked like last night, and from what we've seen throughout the 2025 season, knows that when you go up against the very best teams in the NFL, you cannot play like that consistently and win. And this is just another notch on the bad performance chart for the Denver Broncos in 2025. You played terribly against the Tennessee Titans. Okay, it's week 1. Then in week 5, you play the Eagles. Played awful for 3 quarters. Well, then Bo Magic comes alive and, hey, they come out and pull out the 4th quarter W. Then week 6 against the Jets, you played arguably one of your worst entire games of football offensively. We all know what happened in the Giants game and then the Raiders game. I'm not even mentioning to you guys what at some points the games looked like against the Chargers, at some points what it looked like against the Cincinnati Bengals with the penalty problems. This team has an issue. And it's not just Moose that's talking about the negatives. Everybody wants to be the first one to jump on Moose because Moose is negative about the Broncos. No, I'm not. I'm not the only one. John Middlekauf, one of the most trusted names in sports podcasting, said this last night about the Broncos win. Now, he watches every football game, maybe not every game, but every primetime game and the big name teams. So he was fully watching the Broncos last night, and he said, you have no chance to win a Super Bowl with Bo Nix playing like he is right now. I think his confidence is shot. We'll talk about that in a second. The quarterback's lack of confidence makes Sean Payton look like a horrendous play caller. That's crazy to think about. You're talking about an 8-2 team. If he plays like he did against the Kansas City Chiefs, they will lose 100% of the time. I don't know if they're winning a playoff game. So this is a bold take from John. The one thing I will disagree with, I don't think Bo has a confidence problem. Bo Nix has the biggest nuts of any quarterback in the entire league. It's not a confidence issue. It's a mechanics issue. It's a pocket issue. It's an X's and O's issue. It's not a confidence thing. Here's the thing that we know about what we've seen from Bo's woes so far. Now, I also know that Bo has a lot of unbelievable moments. He's got the clutch gene. He's got the clutch factor. But you cannot deny it because you're watching it every week. His feet never get set in the pocket. Ever. His feet are always moving, always dancing. And that is stereotypical of younger quarterbacks. You can clearly tell that there's got to be some development in his footwork. He's got a lack of timing with his wide receivers, as evidenced last night by his first pick that he threw. I mean, it was a bad throw. Now, the second pick hit Troy Franklin right in the chest. That's on Troy. You got to catch the football. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit, too. It's not just on Bo. But he also has very little consistency in his play outside of the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, Bo's great. The other three, it's what Bo are you going to get this week? And then number 4, he looks reckless against the blitz. Again, another thing young quarterbacks typically struggle with. Very seldomly do you see really young, tenured quarterbacks in the NFL do tremendous against the blitz. Can it be worked on? Of course it can. Can it be improved? Yes, it can. But you cannot have this passing chart look like this against the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, this is against the Raiders. The Chiefs blew out the Raiders. They only allowed the Raiders to have 3 first downs the entire game. Like, I'm going to be completely honest with you. You got exposed last night. You got exposed. So what are the big takeaways from the Broncos offense right now? 3 major areas that the Broncos seemingly struggle with, and I'm not even mentioning the penalties in this. Penalties are an entirely different conversation. That's just a whole team thing. Bo is wildly inconsistent. The play calling is suspect. 3rd and 1 running a trick play I will never understand in my life. And the receivers are dropping passes. That is the holy trinity of suck. Like, that is just, it's bad. It's really, really bad. And I'm going to ask you a question that I have not asked on the channel before, and I hope you get down and you answer it. It will be the pinned comment of today's show. Can this offense win a playoff game in 2025? Not the defense. Take the defense out of it for a second. Offense for offense. Can this offense win you a playoff game this year? The answer right now is no. Not with the way they played last night. Now, coming up, I'm going to tell you what the Broncos players are saying. Because it's not just me, it's not Middlekauf, it's not Cowherd, it's the Broncos players themselves that also recognize what the problem is and that it needs to get fixed. Now, before I do that, got to tell you about my friends over at Prize Picks. Look, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, and it is the best place to get real money sports action all football season long. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So do me a favor and head on over, download the Prize Picks app today, and start playing right now. Did you know that on Prize Picks, how you play is up to you? If you want flexibility, choose the Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. Also, if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter what your play is, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the ultimate test. It's very simple to play as well. It takes 30 seconds to make a lineup. All you have to do is pick the player, the more or the less on their stat projections, and then watch your money multiply. You can win up to 2,000 times your money this football season on Prize Picks. All you have to do is download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It is good to be right. So as I mentioned, J.K. Dobbins' name at the beginning of this episode, Dobbins was asked specifically in the locker room about the state of the offense right now. And by the way, Broncos fans were booing the offense yesterday. They were booing them at home on Thursday Night Football, prime time against a division rival. Your fans were booing because it's bad. And here's what J.K. Dobbins said about the booing. It's not insane. We're much better than what we're doing. Our defense is constantly and consistently going out there each week, holding us in the game. We just have to do better. I'm with the fan base. Broncos country. I feel you all because I'm feeling the same way. Bo Nix echoed the exact same sentiment. At some point, we've got to stay moving the football and scoring points. So for everybody that wants to go out into the comment section and attack me for being the most negative guy on the internet, it's not just me. It's not. I'm telling you the honest truth on what I see. Now, maybe we don't see it the same way. Perception is reality, and that's fine. But Sean Payton was then asked also about the 8-2 record. And he said, and I quote, hey, we're 8-2. Nobody else in the NFL is 8-2. Very true statement. But then he said this, we're never satisfied. If my answer were to you that I'm satisfied, that would be silly. And then added they need to clean up the penalties and that he needs to be better. So let me just blanket statement this with you real quick before I break down the major problem area. And I think you're going to like the next graphic coming up. 8-2 is great. It's fantastic. But you have to raise the bar. If you're paralyzed by the record, if the only thing you see is 8 wins and 2 losses, that's a problem. Because again, the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple of years ago were 10-0, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs. It ultimately means nothing if the games aren't leading up to preparation for the playoffs, because you're not going to see the Las Vegas Raiders in the playoffs. You're not going to see the New York Jets in the playoffs. You're not going to see the Titans or the Giants in the playoffs. Who will you see? The Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Los Angeles Chargers. The teams that are actually worth a damn. So here's where the Broncos offense currently stands in 2025. We're going to do a side-by-side comparison, a little reveal for you. The Broncos passing yards per game currently stands at 204.1 to the mystery team's 202.5, so 1.6 yards less. The Broncos notably are averaging 17 more yards per game than this running offense on the mystery team. Only 1 more point per game, the exact same EPA per play, with a record of 8-2 to the mystery team's 3-5. So essentially what you're looking at is the Broncos are about 5 to 10% better at most than this mystery team. And who is this mystery team, producer Reed? The Arizona Cardinals, who have a backup quarterback, have benched their starting however many $1 million per year Kyler Murray quarterback is, and they're at the very bottom of their division. Is this what you want to be in the same category as? And yes, 8-2 versus 3-5. That's because the defense is amazing. So your offense is 10% better than the 3-5 Cardinals. If that doesn't make you feel like something is wrong, I don't know what else to tell you. The stats don't lie. Numbers don't lie. So the final question that I'll leave you with before I take off out of here today, before I come back later on, is okay, we're winning. We're 8-2. Good. We're at the top of the NFL. We're at the very top of the NFL. Nobody in the NFL has a better record than the Broncos right now. Now what? Because the defense can't do this every week. It's not sustainable. They might be able to do it out of 17 games. They might be able to do it 15 games or 16 games. But eventually, they will crumble. So then what? Then you have to lean on complementary football, all 3 phases. And right now, the confidence level going into the Chiefs week, it's up in the air. At least for me. I don't know what Broncos team we're going to get. I hope it's the Broncos that we saw against the Dallas Cowboys. I hope it's the fourth quarter Broncos that we saw against the Eagles and against the Giants. What I don't hope is that it's the entirety of the Raiders game or the entirety of the Jets game. That's all I got for you on this episode. A reminder to hit that subscribe button, like today's video. Join the ever-growing family that we have here at the Broncos Breakdown. Mile high salute. Be cool.